The Ukrainian strike on the Unecha production and control station in the Bryansk region put 2 pumping stations of the Druzhba oil pipeline out of action at once. Satellite images recorded large-scale destruction and fires. This is not just a local incident. We are talking about a vital node of the Russian oil infrastructure through which millions of tons of raw materials pass. On August the 12th, a combined attack was carried out on Unecha using HIMARS and attack drones, according to local authorities. As a result, 2 pumping stations, a technical building, and adjacent equipment burned down. The fire was also confirmed by NASA satellite data, which recorded the fires until the morning of the next day. This is the 3rd attack on the facility since the beginning of the year. In March, a power substation was disabled, and on August the 6th, a drone caused a fire that was then contained. This time, the damage was much more serious. Unecha is one of the key nodes of the 5,500-kilometer Druzhba oil pipeline, which supplies oil to the Belarusian Mozyr and the Russian port of Ust-Luga. The station is capable of pumping up to 60 million tons of oil per year, and its damage threatens the regularity of exports and supplies to the allied Belarus. For Russia, this means interruptions in the transportation of oil to export ports, a decrease in the stability of supplies to the Belarusian oil refinery, and new costs for urgent repairs that cannot be carried out on the fly. Each such attack causes not only direct material damage, but also strategic damage. Russia is forced to redistribute export flows, losing time and money. In conditions where several refineries are simultaneously shut down or damaged, the attack on Unecha hits a vulnerable spot, a transport artery without which oil physically will not reach refining or export. Previously, a Russian oil refinery in Saratov, owned by the state-controlled giant Rosneft, has halted crude oil intake after a drone attack on August the 10th, Bloomberg reported, citing an informed source. Located in the Volga region, the Saratov facility has a design capacity of around 140,000 barrels of oil per day. Bloomberg noted that a prolonged shutdown could disrupt domestic gasoline supplies at a time when seasonal fuel demand is on the rise. Rosneft's press office did not respond to Bloomberg's request for comment. Russian media reported that in the early hours of August the 10th, a swarm of drones struck the refinery in the city of Saratov. Saratov region governor Roman Busargin said that Ukrainian drones attacked the city overnight and that there is damage at one of the industrial enterprises. Later, Ukraine's general staff confirmed that Ukrainian forces had struck the Saratov oil refinery, describing it as one of the key fuel infrastructure facilities of the Russian Federation, involved in supplying occupation forces with petroleum products. Since the start of 2024, Russian refineries have faced regular attacks from Ukrainian drones. In some cases, primary oil processing units have been knocked offline, requiring repairs.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will visit the White House for the 2nd time, accompanied by European leaders. They intend to convince U.S. leader Donald Trump to abandon his pro-Russian positions and side with Kiev, The Guardian write. The publication recalls that Zelensky will be accompanied to Washington by British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, French President Emmanuel Macron and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. Their task is to use their collective influence and personal connections with Trump to persuade him to reconsider his position on Ukraine. According to The Guardian, European leaders hope to remind Trump of the importance of the EU and the UK as the largest trading partners of the United States and the incompatibility of the Russian economy with the economies of Western countries. The very fact that European politicians quickly agreed to join Zelensky, according to The Guardian, indicates serious concerns about the consequences of the US-Russia summit. But experts say that Trump has closed the door to Ukraine's demands for NATO and Crimea, while Zelensky refuses to make concessions on the territorial issue. The Guardian says, emphasizing that the Ukrainian president could almost end the war if he wanted to. The US president dismissed the possibility of Ukraine joining NATO or taking back Crimea, which was occupied by Russia, the article emphasizes. In addition, Trump said in a statement on the Truth social media platform that Ukraine's accession to NATO and the return of Crimea, which Russia annexed in 2014, are out of the question. Arriving in Washington for the meeting late on Sunday, Zelensky said he hoped Ukraine's shared strength with the US and European counterparts would compel Russia to peace. I am grateful to the President of the United States for the invitation. We all equally want to end this war swiftly and reliably, Zelensky posted on the Telegram messaging app. And I hope that our shared strength with America and with our European friends will compel Russia to real peace. Recall, on August 15, a summit between Trump and Putin took place in Alaska. The head of the White House stated that no deal could be reached following the meeting, but the negotiations were assessed positively. But Trump accused the media of misrepresenting his great meeting in Alaska, an encounter widely seen as a victory for Putin and a humiliation for the US president. Trump claimed he had made big progress on Russia, without giving details. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky shared his views on security guarantees for Ukraine on Sunday, ahead of his meeting with the US President Donald Trump on Monday. According to Associated Press, Zelensky arrived in Brussels Sunday to participate in talks with the EU leaders. A strong army is the only thing that can provide security guarantees. Only Ukraine can provide this, Zelensky said during a press conference with the President of EU Commission Ursula von der Leyen. I believe that only Europe can provide funding for this army, and weapons for the army can be provided by our domestic production and European production, but there are some things that are in short supply and are only available in the United States of America, he added. This, I believe, are security guarantees. Zelensky reiterated his preference that, given the importance of the territorial issue, it should be discussed only by the leaders of Ukraine and Russia and the trilateral Ukraine, United States, Russia. European and NATO leaders announced Sunday that they'll be joining President Volodymyr Zelensky in Washington for crucial talks with President Donald Trump, rallying around the Ukrainian leader after his exclusion from Trump's summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The remarkable move, with one European leader after another announcing that they'll be at Zelensky's side when he travels to the White House on Monday, was an apparent effort to ensure that the meeting goes better than the last one in February, when Trump berated the Ukrainian president in a heated Oval Office encounter. The European leader's presence at Zelensky's side, demonstrating Europe's support for Ukraine, could potentially help ease concerns in Kiev and in other European capitals that Ukraine risks being railroaded into a peace deal that Trump says he wants to broker with Russia.